Okay, welcome guys. So what we need to do in this video is show you how to clean up viruses on a Windows system. Now viruses can involve anything from unwanted software, Trojan horses, adware, unwanted programs, anything of that type. Let's have a look. So this is just a dummy Windows 10 system. It's not infected as such, but we will just go through the steps that I think would help you to clean up any unwanted stuff that you have running in the background, slowing down your computer or making it impossible to use. So the first step would be to download ADW Cleaner or Adware Cleaner, which is software from Malwarebytes that allows us to remove unwanted programs running in the background. It's pretty quick to scan, and it does have like a high detection ratio, so I think it would help to start the steps to clean up your computer with this software. In the meantime, we can also download the next set of software that we want to use, which would be NoteOnPower Eraser. If it does come up in the search list here, we'll have search NoteOnPower Eraser. CCleaner would be the next step. Start with that as well. Okay, let's just start running ADW Cleaner or Adware Cleaner for that again. Say yes to that. Scan. It will check for updates. It will scan and show us a list of stuff that it has found. Nearly done. Okay, so my system is clean. But obviously, if you think that your system is infected and you run this software, it would come up with your unwanted items found. And if you click OK here and you look at the list, you would see that it is broken down into separate sections of what has been detected or not. There are services, folders, files, DLLs, malicious WMIs, shortcuts, tasks, and registry entries, as well as Firefox entries and Chromium derivatives. Basically, what this means is that there are none of these malicious or bad items found on this specific computer. But if there were anything found, it would show you this list and ask you for a restart to complete the cleaning process. So for the time being, we'll just close this and I'll show you the next step, which you would carry out after having restarted the computer when the ADW Cleaner is complete. So let's just close this one and open the NoteOnPower Eraser. So what I like to do normally on any computer that is infected is to go through more than one software to clean it up. Usually some programs would scan and find certain items. They would be better at finding certain items than others. And it's always a good idea to clean up any residual items as well that may not be detected by one software and may be detected by another. So NoteOnPower Eraser is sort of the second software I would use, because it takes a little more time to scan, and if I do notice that after having cleaned the computer with ADW Cleaner, it is still slow, and I feel that it's still infected, or I notice that any computer is not running properly still, then NoteOnPower Eraser would be the next step. So just click yes there. Now this one is a little different. It does not just scan right away, but when you do click on it to scan, it'll restart the computer and go into a safe mode, a special safe mode where it would scan and give you the results of what it has found. Let us just do that. So it's initializing, and if I click scan for risk, it will ask me to perform a rootkit scan. NoteOnPower user needs to restart your computer. Do you want to restart now? Let's restart and just see what it does. So it's restarting. So we'll just forward that a little bit for you. There we go. No password required. Okay, so when it's restarted into this special safe mode of its own, it will just start the scan. This may take a while, depending on the level of infection that you have or the speed of your computer. Because of the strength of the type of software that it uses, it does sometimes get false positives. Like it would find some software that is not malicious and it would mark it as malicious, but you do have a choice to ignore or exclude any bit of software that it does end up finding. So as you can see that this software does take much more time to scan. It's looking for many more things, and we will just see what it finds at the end of the process. Okay, now it has found some stuff. I don't like these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. And if you do find an item that you think is not malicious or you installed yourself, you can just use these little boxes to untick them and keep the things. And for the time being, we'll just go ahead and remove all of them. Create system restore point before proceeding. Recommended, that's correct. And just go ahead and fix now. Okay. There's an error creating restore point because this system restore service is not active on this one, which we should turn on. I'll just show you how to do that later. For the time being, we'll just skip the restore point and fix it. We'll just let it do its thing now. Okay, and it's asking to restart when it's done. Now this for the time being. Start now. Now usually having run ADW Cleaner and NoteOnPower Eraser is more than enough to remove the most important malware from the system. However, you will find that there's still other steps that you need to do to make sure that no malware is dormant in any browsers or other programs, and nothing does sort of reinfect your computer after you have cleaned it up. I will just go through these next steps for us to make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay, we're here. So the third software bit that I downloaded in the first place was CCleaner. What that helps is that it puts everything in one place for us to sort of make sure that the computer does not start up or have any unwanted software lurking in any corner of temporary files or downloaded internet background files like that, things like that. So let's just look at the results here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and done. Now let's go ahead and go to the downloads folder, look for CCleaner. I think it didn't download properly. Let's just do that again. Okay, there we are. Let's download the free version for now. So usually what I would do with CCleaner at this point is clean up any unwanted browser history, unwanted files, just make sure that my startup items or programs that turn on when the computer itself turns on, that those startup items are usually that they are not unwanted programs, that they are not malicious programs, that they are not anything that would sort of be, for example, like a fake search engine, something that pretends to look like a browser extension that will start up when you turn on your browsers and redirect you to a different search engine that sort of looks like Google but it's not Google, things like that. Just run CCleaner, install this one for the time being. Installing. And the rest. So there, I don't want your free antivirus for now. Okay. I do not want to read your release notes, I just want to run CCleaner. There we go. Good. Now, when we get to this point, there are several sections here. We'll just start with the topmost. If you click them, you'll see the several options that come up. Let's start with the topmost, which is the cleaner. I'll just make sure that all the applications are there, including most of my browsers, so all my browsers, Google Chrome, Edge, Internet Explorer. Let's just analyze. And we just click analyze. Yep, let's go to Google Chrome unless you have something that we want to save, just save that first. Now, depending on how much time the computer has been used without doing a proper clean, this figure here would be much higher. This computer is pretty clean. It's a clean installation, recently done, so it hasn't had much time to collect any temporary files or internet history or browser sort of files in the meantime. But I have seen computers over the years that I have done that had around even up to 50 gigs of data right here, and that's not something that you would want to keep. It is internet history, but if you look at the settings there, it does not include any saved passwords or saved information, for example. So if you are using your browser for quite some time and you have saved your password in the settings so that you don't have to put it all the time, for example for Facebook, that password will still be saved regardless of whether you can do this clean as it is getting done here or not. What you want to do is make sure that things like internet history, unwanted software in the cache, cookies, download history, temporary internet files. There are, especially in the temporary internet files, there may be some unwanted software lurking in there. It sort of would copy itself and stay there and reinfect your browser or your computer once the cleaning has been done. And we don't want that in this case or in any other computer. So we'll just go ahead and run the cleanup. It'll ask you to continue, confirm that some files will be deleted. Just continue. And cleaning complete. Now we'll just go to the next step and look at the registry. Now what this does is it will scan your registry for deprecated, unused, or unwanted entries. So we'll just scan that. So when that is done, it will show you the list, and you'll just fix selected issues after selecting the ones that you want. Most of the time it's all of them, because usually this does not go wrong, but we do have a fail safe that we can save the registry settings before we clean them up. That is what came up on the screen just now. Do you want to back up changes to the registry? Click yes. We'll just save it as a registry file somewhere accessible, for example the desktop, and we can just put registry changes with a date 26/12/2017. Let's go ahead and save that. And the next step would be there are 1 of 46. You can either fix this one or fix all. I'll just choose fix all for now. So go ahead and fix that, put close, and we'll just go to the next step, which is tools. Now here you would see any software that you want to uninstall. You can do that through here or through the control panel section. It does help in case it does happen that sometimes some malware would infect your computer and not show up in the list of programs that you can uninstall through the control panel. Let's look at that. The usual way of doing it is control panel. So I just typed control panel for part of it in the bottom box here. It came up there. Let's open that and uninstall a program. So in this list here, sometimes some things do not come up in this list. They may come up in here, or in some cases when you do like quite a deep clean of malware, and after having removed the program it still shows up in this list. When you click that and you try to uninstall, it will not allow you. If that is the case, you can click on it and just delete the entry itself, because the cleaning has already been done by the software. It's just a residual name left over in this list. So you can just delete the entry and it will disappear from this control panel list as well as this CCleaner list. But the main thing that we need to do here is look at the startup items. Now usually when a computer is quite infected and you do get like things like pop-ups, banners, some unwanted sounds and videos, and lots of nonsense playing up at the start of when you turn on the computer, it means that there is an item or a program that is starting at the same time along with the start of the computer itself, or when you log in. That would appear here. Usually you would find it with some weird name, and the publisher would also be something that you're not sure about. You will not find them. So most of the time those would appear here in the startup section in the tools tab on CCleaner. There is another way to do that, but CCleaner is the most straightforward because it puts everything in one place and it's much more user friendly than going through MS config and looking for startup items. So what you can do here is look at each of these items. If you find anything that you don't like, for example, if Skype, in this case, if this entry was for an unwanted software or any program that is getting in your way and is not doing what it's supposed to do, just right click there and disable. Now what I usually would do then is restart the computer, check that it is properly disabled, and then delete this entry from here. Then let's look, and once you have gone through this list of every item, you show which one is which. Let's look at the scheduled tasks. Now sometimes if you have infections in your browsers, you can see them here. What it means that if you have like a Google Chrome, like a browser hijack infection, which means that there is another browser that pretends to be, for example, Google Chrome. It looks like Google Chrome, but it's not. Their names would appear different here. What you would do then is just go through these, and if you are sure or if they do look suspicious, you can just disable all of them, start from scratch, and see how it goes. Most of the time these are scheduled tasks, which means, for example, CCleaner or the program that we just used to start wants to start up without user access control or user account control for that matter. Basically, what that means is it wants to start up in administrator mode without showing up on the screen that says, "Did you allow me to start in administrator mode?" We can leave that. That looks like a clean, proper software entry. And same for this Google Update Task Machine Core and this and this. So if, for example, I don't want the OneDrive notification that I saw earlier, I don't want it to appear anymore, I'll just disable that and I'll delete that. And are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Now here, context menu. So context menu, what's context menu? It's the right click. So you right click here, you will see these options. If I right click here, I see other options, and if I right click here, nothing at all. So what it does, the meaning of this is, so if I right click on this software icon here, I get different options again. So this context menu, it basically means that it would give you different options depending on the location at which you click the mouse, the secondary click or right click in most cases. So what this means is that anything that is not part of the Windows default in the context menu, we will need to see it here, and that would make it appear in the right click menu in most places when you click that. So what this does then is it shows you the options that would appear when you right click in any section. If I don't want this option to appear, like play with videos in media player, when I right click on a video, for example, I'll just disable that and delete it. I'll click OK, and same here if I want to remove this option. Next, we would look at browser plugins. Any plugins that you find are irritating or that you cannot uninstall, maybe malware or maybe useful, depending on what you find, how your computer is being affected. So for example, if I want the plugin to be disabled, I can do it through here. Disable that and delete it. Disk analyzer would help if you want to check on how much data is being used by what types of file on this drive. Duplicate finder is exactly what it does. It is exactly what the name says. It would find duplicate files and help you to clean those up or keep them depending on what you choose to do. System restore. Now this shows system restore points, or basically software saved points to which you can go back if anything goes wrong on the computer. It saves the files, but it goes back to the software programs and the state of the Windows installation at the time at which this system restore point was set up. We'll show you this a little later. So look, we have looked at most of the useful stuff here. Let's just close this, and as a precaution, if I have done any work on the CCleaner at this point, I will restart the computer once to make sure that everything is working fine. And then I will go through all the browsers, check that the settings are correct. Now, sometimes the browsers may not be perfectly clean at the end of this process. So then we may need to use separate browser specific tools like this one for Chrome. Double A's, let's remove the double A's. This one, there we go. First one. Download it and run that. Accept and download. Now this is the worst case scenario. If your browser is really still like hijacked, not doing what it's supposed to do, coming up with unwanted ads in the spots that you are not supposed to have ads, or just plain slow, this would help. But this is the worst case scenario, and this cleanup does involve losing some of your data that is specific to this browser. So let's just run this and see what it says. It would search for unwanted programs and come up with a list of what it found, or tell you if it hasn't found anything. No programs found. Have this tool, yes, continue. And now it will give you a reset option, which usually if you have reached this point at which you think that there is still something in your browser and you're not sure what it is, but you just want it to work, it will remove most of the data here and reset those settings, except for saved passwords, bookmarks, and history. So let's go ahead and do that. And now your browser should be working fine. At least this is what you would do for Chrome. As an extra step, what I recommend is using an ad blocker of some sort. The one I use is AdBlock Plus. Just type ABP there, and I don't want to deal with this right now. Let's go ahead and install this one. Add extension. What this does, it will sort of block some pop-ups, ads, and annoying things online when you're visiting certain sites. And the next step after you have made sure that your computer is perfectly clean is to install a proper antivirus. What I would recommend is Norton Internet Security, or its equivalent. I think they keep changing the name. It's Norton Security right now, but still the same thing, which has the firewall, the antivirus, the anti-malware, and it's very good at detecting even programs that are not yet recognized as malware just by looking at their behavior. And on top of that, what I would suggest is to get yourself Malwarebytes installed. If you can't pay for Malwarebytes, get the free one. Only point of difference then is that it does not come with the live scan, or it does not basically block unwanted software before it installs and it gets installed on your computer. But it's good to have it there running in the background, even the free version, and you can from time to time just run a scan on your system. It will keep it clean. It does help to find some stuff that Norton does not find. And if you have the means to get the full premium license on Malwarebytes as well, it is even better, because it would be like an extra line of defense when it comes to going online. Especially, I found that they are very useful. Malwarebytes is very useful when it comes to giving you messages or blocking you from accessing a website that is reported as malicious and that would install malware on your computer. It sort of prevents you from going to that website in the first place. It would sort of come up with a message that covers the whole browser screen and say, this website is bad, don't go there. Cool. So we don't, and you would be installing Malwarebytes. I would not need that for the time being. The next step that I would suggest, and the last step before you start using your computer again, day-to-day use, I mean, putting data on there, is a little bit of what I call insurance. So I would go into the settings here and look for this, System Restore, and I'll choose the Create Restore Point. Now what this does is, first of all, you can see that System Restore is turned off. We'll just go ahead and turn that on, and set the maximum usage to like around 10 gigs. Right, and go ahead and create a restore point. Now what this does is that it will save a snapshot of everything that you have done so far, in case anything goes wrong in the future and you want to quickly go back to a point in time when you are sure that your computer is not infected and it has all the settings and optimizations that you want to have for it to be running smoothly. This does help in case anything goes wrong in the future, like a major virus infection and you don't have enough time to clean up the computer completely. What I would do then is quickly go back to this setting. This sort of resets the software side of things, that is the Windows, the programs, the extensions, things like that, back to the state at which this point is created. So for example, I want to set this like failed, save, and update. Create that. Now let's go ahead and create it. And what this does is basically it's helping us to quickly come back to this clean state of the computer without having to spend too much time in the future. Now it does help if you get a major infection on the computer, or something goes wrong with anything, any of the software, any of the Windows updates even. So if, for example, it does happen a lot that Windows updates do not install properly, they would cause your computer to die or not even start up into Windows anymore. So then you would go into the advanced settings, troubleshoot the computer, and if you have a system restore point like this, a clean restore point at which everything is working as it should, then you have some insurance and you can go back to that when you want. So that's already saved. Let's click OK, and our computer is ready to go. Now for if I show you some little bits that I like, some little decorative bits. Say for instance we want a better wallpaper. if we don't like this smoky glass Windows wallpaper. So let's go ahead and download some little software here. That's one of those. I find pretty good. Bing Desktop. It's sort of part of the Bing search engine, which I don't use personally, but I really do like the fact that they have amazing photos that they change every day. And it loads directly on your desktop without you having to worry about anything. If I go ahead and download that, I'll show you. So let's download that now. Save it. Okay, now it's done. Let's open it. Yes. And there are certain things that I want and certain things that I don't want from this software. Let it load up. So I don't want to improve my experience. I don't want Bing as my default provider, and I don't want to set my homepage to MSN. I just want this first option. Make the Bing homepage image your desktop background. And finish. And it will come up with a little box that I don't want to get in my way. I don't want this toolbar as well. I'll just take this box and set it on top there. And it will just minimize itself. And we'll just let it load the wallpaper now. Look at that, isn't that much better? And if you want to change that or look at the other options from previous days, you can right here. Look at this. Beautiful. Okay, where were we? So your computer is optimized, it's clean, it's fast, and it's pretty. Let's just make sure that we stay safe online, and good luck with your computer cleaning projects, and I'll talk to you in the next one. If you like my video, please don't forget to click the like button. If you do want to follow me and find out about new videos that are released in the future as well, please click the subscribe button. And if you have any questions about this content or anything else that you want me to answer, please leave them in the comments below and I will try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, guys.